A lone man lands on the moon's far side to claim an inheritance he never wanted, only to find an abandoned station that knows his name and an ancient AI that holds a secret capable of rewriting the fate of humanity. Every corridor hides the shadow of those who vanished, and every step pulls him closer to a choice that could change the world forever. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and tell us where are you watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The old cargo lander rattled as it cut through the blackness of space toward the moon's far side. Its hull creaked with every adjustment, as if protesting the journey. Inside the cockpit, Marcus Hale kept his hands steady on the worn controls. His eyes stayed locked on the barren surface ahead, where a single dome shimmered faintly under the distant sun. The navigation panel flickered, warning lights blinking in sharp red. Life support reserves at 19%. The automated voice was calm, but the message was not. Marcus tightened his grip on the throttle. He had flown in worse conditions, but never with so much uncertainty pressing on his mind. 3 days earlier, he had been on Earth, living in quiet obscurity. Once, he had been a respected astrobiologist, celebrated for his research into alien microbial life. That ended after the Europa incident, when a mission under his supervision failed and lives were lost. The headlines had called it an accident. Marcus called it his failure. Then came the letter. It arrived without ceremony, sealed in plain white. Inside was a single line from his late Aunt Celeste. "Station Aurora is yours now. Take the core." She remembers. There had been no explanation, no apology for the years of silence between them. Only a small cargo crate delivered to his door hours later. Inside was a spherical AI unit, its surface dull with age, labeled Lyra 7. Now, as the lander descended, Marcus glanced at the AI core resting in its cradle beside him. It was silent, lifeless, yet somehow heavy with meaning. His aunt had been one of the first lunar pioneers, building Station Aurora to study the effects of deep space radiation on living cells. Her later theories had been dismissed as eccentric, even dangerous. The lander shuddered as it entered final approach. The moon's far side stretched below, a wasteland of craters and jagged ridges. The dome of Station Aurora stood alone, its once bright surface dulled by decades of lunar dust. Marcus adjusted the descent thrusters, feeling the vibration through the seat. Impact came with a bone-deep thud. Lunar dust rose in a slow, graceful cloud before settling back to the surface. Marcus exhaled, unfastened his harness, and stood. His joints ached from the long journey. He crossed to the storage compartment and lifted the AI core. It was warm to the touch, faintly humming. He remembered the last time he had seen his aunt. They had argued about her research, about whether humanity had the right to alter life on such a scale. She had left for the moon soon after, and they had never spoken again. The airlock door hissed open. Marcus stepped into the small chamber, sealing his helmet with practiced ease. The outer hatch slid aside, revealing the lunar surface in all its silent vastness. Above the horizon, Earth hung like a fragile blue sphere, distant and unreachable. His boots pressed into the fine regolith, leaving crisp impressions in the ancient dust. The walk to the station was short, but each step felt heavier than the low gravity should allow. The dome loomed larger with every pace, its surface pitted and scarred. As he reached the main airlock, a faint blue light glowed from a panel beside the door. Genetic verification required. The voice was mechanical, but the words made him pause. He had never been registered with the station. Vance's genetic signature detected. "Welcome, Marcus Hale. Initiating entry protocol." The door groaned open, releasing a rush of stale air. A thin mist formed where it met the vacuum. Marcus stepped inside, and the hatch sealed behind him. The chamber filled with breathable atmosphere. "You may remove your helmet." He hesitated, then unlatched the seals and lifted it away. The air was metallic and dry, but safe. The inner door slid open, revealing a narrow corridor stretching into darkness. Emergency lights pulsed faintly along the walls. Marcus carried the AI core close to his chest. The station was silent except for the hum of minimal power. The walls bore the marks of age, and the air carried the faint scent of machinery long unused. Power reserves at 22%. Main generator offline. Operating on emergency solar reserves. Marcus stopped. The voice had not come from the station's system. It had come from the AI core. He looked down. The sphere's surface glowed faint amber. "What am I supposed to do with you?" he asked quietly. "Interface with Central Nexus. Priority access required." Marcus froze. The AI was active. He had not powered it on. Minimal functionality achieved. Full system integration required. Please proceed to Central Nexus. The voice was calm, melodic, almost human. Marcus felt a chill. His aunt had been secretive in her final years. What had she hidden here? He tightened his grip on the AI core and began walking deeper into the station. The corridor narrowed, lit only by the flicker of emergency lights. Shadows stretched across the walls, shifting with each step. The silence was complete, broken only by the sound of his own breathing. Somewhere ahead, the Central Nexus waited, and with it, the answers his aunt had taken to her grave. The airlock sealed behind Marcus with a heavy metallic thud. The sound echoed faintly through the narrow chamber, as if the station itself was waking from a long sleep. The dim emergency lights cast a pale glow on the walls, revealing streaks of dust and faint scratches that told stories of years gone by. He took a slow breath, the metallic tang of the air filling his lungs. It was breathable, but it carried the weight of abandonment. The corridor ahead stretched into shadow, lined with dormant consoles and sealed doors. Each step he took stirred the dust, leaving a faint trail behind him. The AI core in his arms pulsed softly, its amber light steady and calm. Interface with Central Nexus. Priority access required. The voice was smooth, almost human, yet carried a precision that left no room for doubt. Marcus hesitated. His Aunt Celeste had been a visionary, but also a recluse in her final years. She had spoken of discoveries that could change the course of human biology, but her peers had dismissed her as unstable. Now, standing in the heart of her abandoned station, he wondered if they had been wrong. He moved deeper into the station. The walls were lined with panels, many of them dark, some flickering weakly. The floor beneath his boots felt solid, but there was a faint vibration, as if the station's systems were still alive somewhere deep within. As he passed a junction, he noticed a small observation window. Beyond it lay a storage bay, its shelves stacked with sealed containers. Some were labeled with scientific codes, others with nothing at all. A thin layer of frost clung to the glass, hinting at the cold that had settled in over the years. The AI core spoke again. Power reserves at 22%. Main generator offline. Emergency solar reserves active. Recommend immediate restoration of primary systems. Marcus frowned. Restoring the generator would require access to the Central Nexus, but he had no idea what state it was in. Still, the AI's tone carried an urgency he could not ignore. He turned down a side corridor, following the faint glow of guidance lights embedded in the floor. The path led him past living quarters, their doors ajar. Inside, he glimpsed signs of sudden departure: a half-finished meal on a table, a jacket draped over a chair, a datapad lying face down on a bunk. The silence pressed in on him. It was not the peaceful silence of solitude, but the heavy stillness of a place that had been left behind in a hurry. He reached a larger chamber, its ceiling higher than the rest of the station. This appeared to be a communal area, with tables bolted to the floor and a panoramic viewport showing the endless black of space. Earth was not visible from here, only the cold light of distant stars. Marcus paused, his gaze drawn to a wall display. It was inactive, but faint outlines of data charts were still visible on the screen. He imagined his aunt standing here, explaining her theories to a team that no longer existed. The AI core pulsed again. Genetic verification complete. Access to restricted sectors granted. Proceed to Central Nexus. He felt a chill. The station recognized him, not just as a visitor, but as someone with full clearance. His aunt had planned for him to be here. As he continued, the corridors grew narrower, the lighting dimmer. The hum of the station's systems became more distinct, a low vibration that seemed to come from beneath the floor. He passed a sealed laboratory door. A small inspection panel beside it displayed a frozen image, a blurred figure in a lab coat, mid-stride. The timestamp was decades old. Marcus pressed on, his footsteps echoing in the confined space. The AI's glow lit the path ahead, casting long shadows on the walls. Finally, he reached a reinforced bulkhead. A control panel beside it flickered weakly. Central Nexus access point. Authorization required. Before he could speak, the AI core's light intensified. Authorization confirmed. Unlocking. The bulkhead slid open with a deep mechanical groan. Beyond it lay a short passage leading to a circular chamber. The air here was warmer, carrying a faint hum of active machinery. Marcus stepped inside. The room was lined with dormant workstations, their screens dark. In the center stood a raised platform with an interface cradle, the place where the AI core was meant to be installed. He approached slowly, his eyes scanning the room. Everything here felt untouched, as if waiting for this exact moment. The AI spoke once more. Integration will restore full station functions. Proceed when ready. Marcus stood still, the weight of the decision pressing on him. His aunt had built this place for a reason. Whatever secrets it held, they were now within his reach. He tightened his grip on the AI core, feeling its steady pulse against his palms. The echoes of the past surrounded him, whispering through the silent corridors. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that once he placed the core into the cradle, nothing would ever be the same again. Marcus stood in the center of the circular chamber, the AI core cradled in his hands. The room was silent except for the faint hum of dormant systems. The panoramic viewport stretched above him, revealing a sea of stars scattered across the blackness. Earth was a distant glimmer, small and fragile against the void. The interface cradle waited at the heart of the platform. Its surface was smooth, marked only by a single recessed port. The AI core pulsed faintly, as if sensing its destination. Integration will restore full station functions. Proceed when ready. The voice from the core was calm, steady, and without hesitation. Marcus hesitated. His Aunt Celeste had built this station for reasons the world never fully understood. She had been accused of chasing impossible theories, of wasting resources on experiments that could never succeed. Yet here he was, standing in the place she had guarded so fiercely, holding the key she had entrusted to him. He lowered the core into the cradle. The moment it connected, a deep vibration rolled through the floor. Lights along the walls flickered, then brightened. Dormant consoles came to life, their screens filling with streams of data. The hum of machinery grew louder, steady and purposeful. Welcome to Station Aurora. Primary systems online. Central nexus operational. Marcus turned slowly, taking in the transformation. The air felt warmer, the lighting sharper. The station no longer seemed abandoned. It felt awake. The AI's voice filled the chamber. Aurora was constructed to study the phenomenon known as stellar resonance. This rare cosmic pulse occurs once every 72 years. It carries energy capable of altering biological structures at the molecular level. Marcus frowned. Altering biological structures? You mean genetic change? Affirmative. The resonance can repair damaged DNA, reverse cellular decay, and enhance adaptive traits. He stepped closer to one of the streams of archived data scrolled across the display. Charts, waveforms, and images of microscopic cells glowing with strange light. Your Aunt Celeste discovered a method to harness the resonance safely. Her research indicated potential cures for degenerative diseases, immunity to certain pathogens, and extended cellular longevity. Marcus felt a weight settle in his chest. If this was true, it could change everything. Before she could share her findings, the AI continued. An external faction attempted to seize control of Aurora. Their objective was to weaponize the resonance. Your aunt initiated lockdown protocols and removed my core to prevent unauthorized access. Marcus's mind raced. The faction must have been powerful to force her into hiding her own work. The resonance pulse will pass this sector in 6 hours. Full system restoration is required to capture and process the energy. He glanced at the power readout. The main generator was still offline. Emergency reserves would not be enough to run the resonance array. What do I need to do? Restore primary power by reactivating the fusion generator in the engineering sector. Once operational, the array will align automatically. Marcus nodded slowly. The task was clear, but the risk was high. The engineering sector was on the far side of the station, and he had no idea what condition it was in after decades of neglect. He turned toward the exit, but the AI's voice stopped him. Marcus, your aunt believed this knowledge should belong to all of humanity. If the array is activated, the data will be transmitted to every open network in the solar system. And if I don't, the resonance will pass. The opportunity will be lost for another 72 years. He stood in silence, the weight of the choice pressing on him. This was more than a chance to restore his reputation. It was a chance to finish what his aunt had started. He left the Nexus chamber, the AI's glow lighting the corridor ahead. The station felt different now. The hum of active systems followed him, and the air carried a faint warmth that had been absent before. As he passed the observation deck, he paused. The stars beyond the glass seemed sharper, brighter. Somewhere out there, the resonance pulse was on its way, carrying the potential to heal and transform life itself. He tightened his grip on the AI core's signal tether. The path to the engineering sector would not be easy, but he knew he had no choice. The awakening of Aurora had begun, and with it came the promise and the burden of a discovery that could change the fate of humanity. Marcus moved quickly through the narrow corridors, the AI's guiding light casting long shadows on the walls. The hum of the awakened station followed him, a steady reminder that time was running out. The resonance pulse was approaching, and the fusion generator still lay dormant in the engineering sector. The path was not easy. Sections of the station had gone untouched for decades. Panels hung loose from the walls, and the floor vibrated faintly under his boots. The air was warmer now, but it carried the scent of old machinery and dust. The AI's voice was calm but insistent. 4 hours until resonance arrival. Generator activation required for full array function. Marcus reached the engineering bulkhead. The heavy door resisted at first, then slid open with a groan. Inside, the generator chamber was dark, except for the faint glow of emergency lights. The massive fusion core stood silent, its surface coated in a thin layer of frost. He crossed the room, his footsteps echoing in the hollow space. The control console was cold to the touch. He brushed away the frost and activated the manual startup sequence. Warning lights flared, and the deep rumble of the generator began to build. Power levels rising, primary systems stabilizing. The AI's voice carried a note of quiet satisfaction. As the generator reached full output, the station seemed to come alive. Lights brightened across the corridors. The hum deepened into a steady, powerful thrum. Marcus returned to the central nexus. The panoramic viewport now displayed a faint shimmer in the distance. The first sign of the approaching resonance pulse. It was beautiful, a slow rave of golden light moving through the darkness of space. The AI spoke again. Once the array is activated, the resonance data will be transmitted to all open networks. No single entity will be able to control it. Marcus understood the weight of that choice. Releasing the data would mean giving up any personal claim to the discovery. It would end any chance of rebuilding his career through exclusive rights. But it would also mean that the knowledge could be used to heal, to save lives, to change the future for everyone. And if I keep it locked away? He asked quietly. The AI paused. Then the opportunity will be lost for 72 years, and the knowledge will remain hidden. Marcus looked out at the stars. He thought of his Aunt Celeste, working alone in this station, protecting her research from those who would twist it for power. She had trusted him with this moment. The resonance pulse grew closer, its light now spilling across the viewport. The station's systems registered the incoming energy, preparing the resonance array for capture. Marcus stepped to the central console. His hand hovered over the activation control. He could keep it for himself. He could sell it to the highest bidder. He could use it to restore his name and fortune. But he thought of the people on Earth who might never see another chance like this. The children born with illnesses that could be cured. The lives that could be saved. He pressed the control. The station's resonance array unfolded from the dome, panels rotating into position. A deep vibration filled the air as the systems aligned with the incoming pulse. The golden wave struck. The chamber was flooded with light, warm and brilliant. Data streamed across every console, captured and processed in real time. Transmission initiated. Broadcasting to all open channels, Marcus watched as the data left Aurora, racing toward Earth and beyond. There would be no taking it back now. The AI's voice was softer now. Your aunt would be proud. He stood at the viewport, watching the last of the resonance pulse fade into the distance. Earth glowed faintly in the far horizon, as if touched by the light. The station settled into a steady rhythm, its systems stable and strong. The hum was no longer urgent. It was the sound of a place that had fulfilled its purpose. Marcus felt a quiet peace settle over him. He had not saved his career. He had not claimed the discovery as his own. But he had done something greater. He turned from the viewport, the AI's glow following him. There was still work to be done, but the choice had been made. As he walked through the corridors of Aurora, he knew the station would remain a silent witness to what had happened here. a place where one person had chosen to share the stars with everyone. And somewhere, far away, the golden light of the resonance was already touching lives.